Why are you trying to block me? I'm trying to walk here.
I obey traffic signals.
You're a snarky little idiot. Shut the up.
Try something.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening?
Breakthrough media. Meanwhile, the midterm elections are around the corner, 18 days from right now. And the central question remaining isn't just who will win Congress, whether the Democratic Party will remain a legitimate political organization or become something else entirely. Elements of the Democratic coalition are becoming radical. Some are threatening violence, some are advocating violence. Others are taking the next step and engaging in violence. Even the party's leaders, those with the deepest ties to the establishment and the most to lose, are suddenly saying things that would have been unimaginable just a year ago. Here, for example, is Nancy Pelosi. Watch her explain that people will be hurt in order to achieve the Democratic Party's goals, and that's okay. Watch.
We have to have total clarity about what we do when it comes to everything. A woman's right to choose, whether it's about immigration, whether it's about gun safety, whether it's about climate. We didn't even talk about climate. And if there's some collateral damage for some others who do not share our view, well, so be it.
Collateral damage. She's talking about you. Your collateral damage in Pelosi's remarkably direct calculation. Thanks for telling us. You're one of those people in the way. You're an inconvenience who will be crushed beneath the wheels of progress when it comes right down to it. Well, you're one of those infamous eggs that must be broken to make the world's greatest omelet. Just today, by the way, a New York man called Ronald DeRisi was charged for threatening Senators Chuck Grassley and Susan Collins with death. Why? Because they dared to support the Brett Kavanaugh nomination. They were in the way. So did the woman in this video. She was in the way, too. She made the mistake of wearing an NYPD hat in the presence of a leftist. Watch what happened when she did.
Why are you trying to block me? I'm trying to walk here.
I obey traffic signals.
You're a snarky little idiot. Shut the up.
Try something.
I'm not going to punch you. I'm not like your husband. I'm not going to punch you.
I'm not married.
I'm not like your boyfriend or your top boyfriend who's going to knock you out, so don't worry.
My husband died in 9/11.
Good for him. Good. Good. Those NYPD were a bunch of sodomizing immigrants with their bully sticks. So yeah, your husband probably should rot in the grave.
Have you ever?
Breakthrough.
Are you listening?
Fox News alert for you. Mexican authorities are trying to stop a caravan of migrants headed north to the United States. That may literally be beyond their power. Trace Gallagher has the latest on that story. Trace?
And Tucker, it's impossible to get an accurate count because the caravan is spreading out, but we still believe there are between 3,000 and 4,000 Honduran and Salvadoran immigrants heading north. And right now, at Guatemala's border with Mexico, there are thousands of migrants waiting in line trying to cross one of two bridges that lead into Mexico. Now, earlier, they broke a gate and tried to push their way into the country. And in spite of Mexican police and military using smoke canisters to push them back, many of them, as you can see, kind of got through. Mexico has now told the United States it would put up shelters, meaning tents, along their border with Guatemala. And Mexican authorities say they're allowing 100 migrants per day to come into Mexico. Those people are being told they want to seek asylum. If they do so, Mexican government saying they need to stay in a government shelter or a charity shelter, and their applications will be processed within 45 days. Now, if they leave and roam the country, they forfeit their asylum request and could be deported.
Op-ed tonight, the Wall Street Journal editorial board agrees and says that President Trump is right to turn back the caravan, partly because it's organized and not necessarily to the benefit of the migrants. Plus, there's this historical note, quote, not since the 1980 Mariel boat lift from Cuba has there been a similar attempt to overwhelm U.S. immigration law on the pretext of celebrating American freedom. Goes on to say Castro saw to it that criminals and mentally ill also climbed aboard those boats. No one doubted the Cuban hunger to escape, but the unintended consequences of the mayhem were costly. Tonight's Power Panel on immigration, Democratic strategist Dave Brown, Fox News contributor Lisa Booth, and Fox News contributor former acting ICE Director Thomas Homan. Welcome to all of you.
Hi, Shannon. You see visuals like these migrants breaking down the gates into Mexico. It just demonstrates and underscores President Trump's calls for increased border security. They couldn't ask for a better political gift, to be honest.
Well, okay, so this is something the president has tweeted now. He says every time you see a caravan or people illegally coming or attempting to come into our country illegally, think of and blame the Democrats for not giving us the votes to change our pathetic immigration laws. Remember the midterms, so unfair to those who come illegally. Dave, what do you make of this assertion that this is a huge political gift to the president at just the right time?
Shannon, I agree that it's a political gift to the president because this is a wedge issue that he's been very effective at using, dating all the way back to when he ran for president in 2016. But I disagree, very much disagree with the fact that Democrats haven't been at the table and trying to work in good faith. I mean, look, I served in the Senate in 2013 as an aide. That year, we passed comprehensive bipartisan immigration reform. Democrats and Republicans came together. And so there is a proven path. There is a way to find a path forward for bipartisan immigration reform. And if anything, Shannon, I was really struck by the Fox and Friends panel of independent voters. I think it was this morning, to a person, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but to a person, they recognized the humanitarian crisis that's at the border, the plight of these people, but they also said they want Democrats and Republicans to come together. They're tired of the unnecessary partisanship. And so it's unfortunate that the president engages in the kind of rhetoric that he's engaging in at these rallies where he essentially makes immigration reform a zero-sum game. I don't think that's best for the country.
You know, he put out, I think it was his 4 pillars that he wanted to see get done. He said if you can get these things done, including generous allocations for so-called dreamers who are already here in the country and others connected to them, that he would sign the bill. Republicans and Democrats, they couldn't get it together, so that didn't happen. No one knows better about that than former ICE Director Thomas Homan. We're glad to have you with us tonight. I want to play something that President Trump said at his rally tonight, though, and get your reaction, Thomas.
Look, that is an assault on our country. That's an assault. And in that caravan, you have some very bad people. You have some very bad people. And we can't let that happen to our country.
Thomas, you would know more about this probably than the rest of us put together about exactly who is showing up at the border.
Well, look, we take custody of, ICE took custody of everybody at Border Patrol arrest. If you look at who they've arrested in the last few years, between 18 and 20% have a criminal history. I mean, they've had criminal convictions. This isn't the first time they come to the United States. So there are a lot of criminals coming across the border. Now, I'm not saying every criminal, but as far as, what the president, the comments he made, look, we're a sovereign country. We have the right to protect our borders.
Boom. Yeah.
And I can't, I've seen the covers also, and, sometimes it's sad to see what you see, but I can't blame these people that want to come to the United States. We're the greatest country on earth, but you can't be a part of the greatest country on earth and not respect its laws. You can't have it both ways, not under this president, and I agree with 100%. As far as the second speaker talking about your second guest talking about work on the Hill and that Democrats at the table, well, apparently he wasn't on the Hill last year and a half because I was the ICE director last year and a half, and they weren't at the table. I mean, I met with a lot of lawmakers up there. We tried to shut down the loopholes. They refuse to shut down loopholes. When they talk about sanctuary cities, as your first guest says, and the abolishment of ICE, when you won't fix loopholes, you are enticing. You are enticing others to make that dangerous journey. And it's just not people entering the country illegally. As you said, it's a national security issue because while they're running families through one sector, they're running drugs and bad people through another sector because Border Patrol's tied up. And it's a fact. You can like or not like the president, but he's 100% accurate on this issue.
I want to play something that one of the members of this caravan told us today. This is what he said about the strategy.
This is not going to be easy, but it's a lot of people. I don't think he's going to be able to stop everybody.
Well, I think President Trump should try.
The timing is so telling. In my opinion, the first time this happened not too long ago was a test run. The left deliberately timed this just before the midterms to try and make the president look bad, while at the same time having an influx of illegals to vote Democrat. A full-on assault, if you will, to try and regain power by any means necessary. I say Soros is the financial core of it. Those of us who were awake knew this was coming here by watching what was happening in other countries. Remember this?
On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Oh well, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. This could be the great Trojan horse of all time. Because you look at the migration, study it, look at it. Now they'll start infiltrating with women and children. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in, by now you might have died. She stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. I saved you, cried the woman, and you've bit me, heavens wide. You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew well I was a snake before you took me in.
When folks tell you who they are, or you find out, believe them. Don't be an ostrich with his head in the sand who ends up making a target out of its butt. Higher education has already become liberal indoctrination. I want my kids and my granddaughter to experience the America that I have. Not socialism, not Sharia law, the U.S. Constitution. So let's bring the vote. God bless you, and God bless America.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
He goes to jail. He goes to jail. Lock him up. Have you ever felt?
Are you listening?